So basically, now is the fun part. So we take some of the actual. What's that?
That was pretty much fun already.
Okay, well, there's the more fun.
More fun now.
More fun for more people. Hey, Teresa, can you stash this somewhere? Are you recording?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So then you can't stash that.
Don't burn the collards.
I wanted to get the potentially dangerous thing for people out of the way. So basically, you can buy the starter, which is sawdust, and it's called Mycelium. It amounts to basically seeds of mushrooms. So you can buy, there's so many times, I couldn't believe it. When I found the catalogs online, I was like, oh god. But so basically, smell it. Actually, it smells good. I'm going to smell everything. It's nice and earthy. It smells funny. It's like, it smells earthy. Yeah. So you see, it's nice and earthy. It's lovely. So it's kind of fun. So have a little small mushroom. So even though it looks a little bit kind of not so nice,
Yeah,
it's
it's like in this.
so little person wants it. Mushroom. No? So nice little natural. Yeah. So as long as it smells like this, earthy and natural and good, you know that this hasn't been contaminated by something else. That's why I try and keep everything sealed to keep other things out. Generally speaking, though, there's so much of the one kind of mushroom in this starter, it's kind of hard for anything else to get started. That's kind of the same logic I use when I have these logs. You put lots of one thing in there, it's kind of hard for anything else to outcompete it. So
you don't have to put water in there or keep it humid? No.
Well, it's in plastic, so it's sealed. And basically, they at the lab put in spores into a sterilized petri dish. They plate it, they grow it, and then it's growing on agar for a while. And then they actually plate it out into sterilized larger containers, and eventually it goes up into the sawdust. So I mean, they're just propagating starters and then seeding the bag.
So you don't have to put some humidity into it so it keeps fresh.
Once you buy the bag and you want to use it as quickly as possible, you don't want to, unless you have a sterile laminar flow hood and can keep a sterile culture and can work under sterile conditions, I've opened this now and there could be spores in it from something else. So the idea is I want to get this into a log and start it as quickly as possible. So if you have sterile means to work in, yes. If you don't, consider it a 1 or 2 day or 3 day window of time once you've opened it to try and get your log started and treat it like that, because spores in the air can potentially. I've had this in the fridge for a little while actually. I was curious to see how long I could go with it, and it still looks reasonably good. So, but again, if for the average person, there's another method called growing on dowels. It's a little wooden peg. It's an easier approach. Folks using drill bits. Instead of having to buy all this extra stuff, it's just a little peg. You drill a hole, you tap a little peg in, and you wax it over. And so if you want to try more varieties, you can get 100 little dowels and make 4 logs of each kind and get 3 or 4 different kinds and try more. So that's a pretty fun way to try more. Or you can cheat and you can just get my card and you can call me and you can buy logs that were started a year ago and they're already fruiting. So it just depends on your threshold of patience versus fun to see what you want to do. So basically, you get this and you stick it in here. And the general idea is this little tool is the reverse of what we just took out. So just kind of fill this up with a little starter sawdust, and then just put it into a hole. And now it's backfilled, and we'll eventually wax the whole thing. So let me do a couple more, and then I'll let you guys all jump in. It is helpful if that is the case.
Yeah, I would go back to the Can you not touch it with your hand?
Well, the challenge, this thing is $40 by itself, and the angle grinder is another bunch. So if you're just doing a small scale hobby level, it's easier to do the dowels, the little pegs, and then you just hammer it in. So now when I do this as a class, I actually have a table that it's got rollers on it and it holds it in place. And so yeah, you can go back and you can do a couple fillings to get it pretty close to level. If it's a little recessed, it doesn't matter to seal these. They're in a little bit resealed with some wax, and it doesn't really matter. I brought quite a few of these little guys so we can have several people get in here and do some. So I don't want to do it all. So hop in and have a try. This is the fun part. Yeah, if we want to fill one for you and you can pound it. Is that right?
Okay, I feel better.
Yeah, see? So go ahead, give that a little pound.
Jeff?
Is that one stuck? Did I give you a bad one? That might be. Let me give it a little harder. That one's not working so good. Definitely. Excellent. Try again. It's already full. Let's do another one. Excellent. So it's just a matter of being patient and filling. Actually, this is a pretty good show and tell point. Just to show you what it's doing in effect. So we basically are putting the reverse back inside the lock. Let's get a few more folks. Hop in here. We'll get the little holes filled. Excellent. Give me a hit there.
Okay.
Good. This one is good. Perfect. So it's a pretty quick process. Inoculation. You want to do a couple?
Yep.
How about it? Yeah, so basically it's just one kind per log. Sometimes people say, well, can I grow multiple? Not a good idea. It's better to have just one thing because it becomes like a web of the mycelium, which is basically the roots of the mushroom, throughout the entire log. What's really fascinating, when you start several logs and stack them on a pallet together, the mycelium actually jumps between logs and lock them together. It becomes like a super organism. It's pretty wild.
Now that was another thing. So you put it on a pallet?
There's a number of ways. If it sits right on the ground, then it draws more moisture. It's better, but because I have so many varieties, and I'm just trying to, I don't have endless space, so I have to keep them closer. For the first, like while it's still, it's inoculated, while it's starting, before it's at fruiting age, I put them really close together on pellets. And then once they get to fruiting age, where they're either for an oyster mushroom 6 months or shiitake a year or over, we basically, on a 4x4 pallet, put 1, 2, 3 so you can reach in between and then stagger the other way. So it's kind of like a Lincoln log pile. So you can reach in from any and all sides to get the mushrooms when they fruit, because they always come out in weird angles and places. So, anybody want to try back there? No, you're just going to bear them? You don't need
Can you collect your own mycelium eventually?
Well, you wouldn't collect your own mycelium. What you do is you've got a mushroom. And basically, you collect it, and then you would put it on a piece of paper and do a spore print. So the spores are what you start the mycelium from. So the spores are truly the seeds, if you will.
Oh, okay.
And then, yeah.
So this can be sustainable, like once you get your own mushrooms, you just use some eventually to...
Here's the challenge. I don't have any sterile environment to stick it in agar to start it sterile. It can be in the air. Anything else can get started too. You okay? That's all done? Okay, good. And now you guys see how super easy this is? Now my wax is back here, starting to harden
A
up
question.
a little. Sure.
How much do you have in the leaves of this fungus? Mycelium.
What is it?
How many trunks you can inoculate with this amount?
How many logs can I start?
Yes,
Okay, well, the bag when it starts out is, I think, about like this big by this, by about like that. And that's about 20, 25 logs worth.
25?
So you can start quite a lot from one bag of the starter. Now my wax is starting to harden up here a little bit, so this is super easy. I'm going to plug this in just for a minute to get it a little bit softer. so the general idea is I want to seal this to keep other things out. Be careful, this is really hot. You don't want to touch it. I do want to get this turned back on again because it's not sticking quite as well as I'd like. One of these fluids out of the equation. There we go. Okay, our electricity's back on. Give that a minute. Anybody have any questions so far? All pretty straightforward. They're all like long.
Is that Edible Landscapes the same company, the nursery in Charlottesville?
That's close, but not quite. They're Edible Landscaping.
Oh, okay.
Slightly different.
Yeah, because they have mushrooms there too, I think.
I don't know about that. I hadn't heard that. I know they do mail order fruit trees and stuff. They're in Acton or something down in...
Yeah, we went there once. Their website does have supports.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't looked. I mean,
What other sport, like, do you grow morels or chanterelle? Are you able to grow those?
I have basically just... I go for easy stuff that I can get logs. What you mentioned, I believe morel grows in a soil mix, and so I'm doing stuff on logs because I'm a tree service. And then I don't have the interest to do sterilized blocks of sawdust and cell kits or anything like that because it's a little bit more work than I have time and location for.
So the main ones you do are like oyster, shiitake.
Yeah, and I have chicken of the woods and hen of the woods and lion's mane also.
So they grow best on.
The majority of what grows the easiest by far shiitake and oysters. Yeah, because the other ones are more specialty ones. They're just a little bit more finicky. Okay, good. So I'm back to pretty melted wax.
Put wax here too, like you said that you seal the whole thing.
Just the holes. Just the
Just the
holes.
holes.
Yeah, just the holes
Right,
in the
but
end.
what about the rest of the logs? You just
The bark itself
wash
is
you wash it.
I mean, you don't need to wash it. I mean, the bark itself, as nature created it, was sterile on the inside.
Right.
So yeah. So if you look at it that way, I mean, I just have to seal what I damaged, which is where I stuck in the starter. So
I'd love to do one after the children.
big children can play too. It's all good. Actually, I think maybe it'd be better if little children. Do our parents trust children with molten wax?
We used to play with this. We were fascinated by dripping wax on our
I
hair.
understand, but I'm just saying that
I don't think it was very far safe.
Okay, I just want to ask to make sure everybody's
Did
okay.
everybody do that?
So anyway,
So then does
go ahead.
the mushroom just force its way through the wax?
It literally does. So if you look down here,
twice,
it just pushes its way right out. Yeah, they're surprisingly strong. It's pretty cool.
Once you get one mushroom out of the hole, you get another one, or just that's
Sure.
it?
Yeah. No,
You come back
it'll fruit multiple times from the
The
same
same
place.
hole.
It's basically now. Actually, this is a neat little show and tell. So this made a mushroom from this place before, and see how it's open now. If you're bored, it's not a bad idea. Everybody just pretend to refill the hole. It's just a melted candle to seal it up. So again, just keep it as close to sterile as possible. And periodically, I might come back if I didn't.
This is like living water.
It's kind of fun, actually, yeah. But so basically, any place that you have a hole, you can seal it. You don't have to, but these will rehydrate. They're
And
fine.
this is the color that it's just this color.
There are different shades. There's like darker tan, and you know, this is a lighter one than most are, definitely.
What variety is this? Do we know?
But it's using this, the water here.
Okay, this variety is West Wind. And then I think
These are probably all the same.
I got them from 2 different pallets, actually, but this one, also West Wind. They look the same to me, yeah. And then probably, I'm going to guess, West Wind, yeah. The interesting thing, the same type of mushroom tends to fruit at the same cycle in the season. So that's why if you have, anybody ever grow blueberries again? Early, mid, late season ones? No? Okay. So depending upon the variety, they tend to fruit in a different range of temperatures and points in the season. So if you get 4 or 5 or 6 different kinds of mushrooms, 1 log of each, you'll more likely have mushrooms scattered throughout the whole season because they fruit at different points. So are we all sealed up here? We have a few more. We're going to turn still a few more. Anybody else want to try and do any? We need the big round people too. And when it starts to get a little bit, put some more in. A little bit more in that one. Yeah, the important part is you want to seal it really, really well to make sure that other.
And these have to be fresh cut wood.
The challenge if you have anything dead or been sitting
Is
a
that it's
while,
too crumbly?
not necessarily, but other fungi can already be in it. Because Mother Nature will say, hey, there's an opportunity for me here, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Because if it broke off the tree or whatever, it's got an open end.
Yeah.
So yeah, ideally.
Well, I mean, but if it fell off a tree, is it? If you sealed it, could it be worth putting in?
Depends is the answer. If the tree was healthy in the first place
kinda have to
or
take a
not.
look at it.
If it was rotting, maybe not.
Okay.
If it was a healthy branch that just wind broke a place
Yeah,
that otherwise
like
is
that's what I'm
healthy,
thinking.
then maybe, sure. So it just sort of depends on a case by case of what kind of tree is it too.
Well,
If it-
I know where there's a white oak, but and it's in a median, and it often it sheds.
What tends to shed is usually older dead stuff. At which point, dead stuff you don't want because it's already dried out. So it really depends. Now, there was a couple we did in the very beginning that really weren't done that great, so I'm going to do them again. See these first couple we did? I think these will just peel right off. Yeah, so let's get these guys off. Do these again. Peel it off. The important thing is you want to make sure you get a good seal to keep anything else that's a fungi out of the log.
So you want to put your logs in the shadiest, dampest part of your yard, right?
I'm gonna get to that in a second, but I mean, pretty much, not necessarily. You want to put it in a place that you're going to check it and remember it's there, not the furthest, darkest, dankest corner that you never go to. You need to kind of remember it exists so that when you've had a rainy day, it's close enough to check. So that it's not so inaccessible or so far gotten, about that you don't ever look at it. Because the shiitakes will hold on the lugs a while, but the oysters you just have a couple of days. Oh, okay, let's do that. And I think this is so that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So now